Chapter 1. The assignment. Tom Klein had never thought of himself as the kind of man who got called into secret meetings. He was a project manager, not a spy. His life was spreadsheets, deadlines, and the occasional awkward happy hour where someone inevitably asked if he was seeing anyone. He wasn't. Not for lack of trying, just for lack of, well, everything. Timing, chemistry, mutual interest. The usual suspects. So when his phone buzzed on a gray February morning with a message from the CEO's assistant, "Mr. Harlan requests your presence in his office at 10 sharp, Tom felt a flicker of curiosity. Harlan was his step-uncle, technically, the brother of his mom's second husband. Family by marriage, but not the kind who showed up at Thanksgiving with a casserole. Harlan was the kind who wore tailored suits and spoke in bullet points. Tom straightened his tie in the elevator mirror, wondering if he'd missed a memo about layoffs. The company had been steady, profitable, even boring. Boring was good. Boring paid the bills. But the tone of that message, "requests your presence," had the weight of something unusual. The elevator dinged. Executive floor. Carpet so plush it felt like walking on a promise. Tom knocked once on the frosted glass door before stepping inside. Harlan looked up from his desk, silver hair sharp against the navy of his suit. "Tom," he said, voice smooth as a boardroom handshake. "Sit." Tom sat. "Everything okay?" Harlan steepled his fingers. "Depends on how you define okay." Tom waited. He'd learned long ago that silence was a power move in corporate circles. Let the other guy fill it. Harlan did. "We have a situation in the Midwest division. Performance metrics are down. Turnover is up, specifically among male engineers." Tom frowned. "Any reason given?" "None." Harlan's jaw tightened. "The paperwork is clean. Exit interviews vague. But I know some of these men. Good people. Loyal. They wouldn't walk without cause." Tom leaned back. "So, what do you need from me?" Harlan's eyes sharpened. "I need you to go there. Undercover." Tom blinked. "Undercover? Not in a trench coat," Harlan said dryly. "You'll pose as a workflow consultant. Observe. Report. Find out what's driving them out." Tom let out a low whistle. "That's different." "You're discreet," Harlan said. "You're smart. And your family. I trust you." Family. The word landed heavier than Tom expected. His own family was a patchwork quilt, pieces stitched together with good intentions. His parents had divorced after college. Not in a blaze of bitterness, but in a quiet agreement that love without passion was just friendship with shared bills. They still sent each other Christmas cards. His dad had moved to Florida, opened a beach cabana bar with his best friend, and was now living his best Jimmy Buffett life. Tom had thought it was a midlife crisis. For years later, the place was a local hit. His mom was happy too, in her own understated way. They'd given each other permission to chase joy. Tom admired that. Now here he was about to chase, what? A mystery in the Midwest. "What's the timeline?" Tom asked. 2 months, Harlan said. "Long enough to get answers. Short enough to keep it quiet." Tom nodded slowly. "And if I find something? Report to me directly." Harlan's tone left no room for interpretation. "This doesn't go through channels." Tom exhaled. "All right, I'll need a cover story, travel details." "Already arranged." Harlan slid a folder across the desk. "You leave Monday." Tom stared at the folder. Sleek, black, ominous in its simplicity. He picked it up, feeling the weight of the assignment settle on his shoulders. "Tom," Harlan said, softer now, "this matters. I wouldn't ask if it didn't." Tom met his gaze. "I'll handle it." He stood, folder in hand, and walked out of the office with a strange cocktail of emotions swirling in his chest. Curiosity, apprehension, and, if he was honest, a tiny thrill. Undercover. Like a corporate James Bond minus the tux and martinis. Back at his desk, Tom opened the folder. Inside, a plane ticket to a town he'd never heard of, a rental car reservation, and a brief profile of the division. 30 employees, 25 women, 5 men, well, formerly 5. Now 2. Tom rubbed his jaw. "Where there's smoke," he muttered, "there's usually someone holding the match." He closed the folder and glanced at the calendar. February. The shortest month, but maybe the longest 2 months of his life ahead. Packing would be easy. Figuring out what he was walking into? Not so much. Chapter 2. Welcome to the Midwest. Tom Klein had always imagined the Midwest as a postcard of endless cornfields and polite smiles. Reality, as his rental car rolled through slushy streets under a sky the color of wet cement, was less postcard and more survival mode. February here wasn't just cold, it was a personality trait. The kind that slapped you in the face the moment you stepped outside. He parked in front of the division's office building, a squat structure with ambitions of modernity. Glass panels, brushed steel, and a lobby plant that looked like it had given up on life sometime last winter. Tom tugged his coat tighter and stepped inside, greeted by a blast of artificial warmth and the faint scent of coffee. The receptionist, a woman with a smile so bright it could power a small city, looked up. "You must be Tom Klein. Welcome." Her voice had that Midwest cheerfulness that sounded like it could survive a tornado. Tom smiled back. "That's me. Thanks." She handed him a visitor badge with a flourish. HR's waiting for you in conference room B. Just down the hall. Conference room B turned out to be a glass box with motivational posters on the walls. Teamwork makes the dream work, and a table that could seat 12 but currently held 2 people. A man and a woman. The man stood first. Tall, lean, with a jaw that could cut glass and an expression that suggested he'd rather be anywhere else. Division head, he said, shaking Tom's hand. Mark Ellison. Tom Klein, Tom replied. Workflow consultant. Mark's handshake was firm, his eyes cool. We appreciate you coming. The woman popped up next, all energy and color. Bright scarf, bright lipstick, bright everything. Janice from HR, she chirped, pumping Tom's hand like she was trying to start a lawnmower. We're so excited to have you here. Tom smiled politely, wondering if Janice had consumed an entire pot of coffee before this meeting. Glad to be here. Mark gestured to a chair. We've had some challenges lately. Janice leaned forward, eyes wide with faux concern. Oh yes, just heartbreaking. Men leaving left and right. No warning, no explanation. It's like they've vanished into thin air. Tom nodded, keeping his expression neutral. Any theories? Mark's jaw tightened. None worth repeating. Janice lowered her voice conspiratorially. Some say it's the weather. Others say it's, well. She glanced around as if the walls might be listening. Morale issues. Tom filed that away. I'll start by observing workflows, talking to the team. See what I can find. Mark gave a curt nod. Fine. Just keep it professional. Janice beamed. Oh, you'll love our team. So talented. So driven. So female. Tom blinked. Female? Janice laughed like he'd told a joke. Oh yes, we're practically a sisterhood here. Out of 30 employees, only 2 men left. Well, 3 if you count Mark. Tom glanced at Mark, who looked like he'd rather not be counted at all. Interesting, Tom said lightly. I'll keep that in mind. After the meeting, Janice led him on a whirlwind tour of the office. Open floor plan, ergonomic chairs, whiteboards covered in diagrams that looked like alien languages. The atmosphere was lively. Women chatting in clusters, laughter bubbling like champagne. Tom noticed the looks he got, curious, assessing, a few amused smirks, like he was a new exhibit at the zoo. By the time Janice deposited him at his temporary desk, Tom felt like he'd stepped into another world. A world where he was the minority and everyone knew it. He sat down, opened his laptop, and stared at the blinking cursor. His cover story was solid. His mission clear. But something about this place hummed with an energy he couldn't quite name. He was still pondering that when a voice behind him said, "You're the new guy." Tom turned and froze. She stood there like the punchline to a joke he hadn't heard yet. Tall, confident, with dark hair pulled into a sleek ponytail and eyes that sparkled like they knew secrets. Her smile was crooked, the kind that suggested trouble. Tom Klein, he said, standing. Workflow consultant. Lila Hart, she replied. Lead engineer. Her handshake was firm, her gaze direct. So, you're here to fix us? Tom smiled. Just here to help. Lila tilted her head, amusement dancing in her eyes. We'll see about that. And just like that, Tom felt the first spark of something he hadn't expected. Not in this frozen town, not on this undercover assignment. Something warm, something dangerous, something that made him think this job was about to get a lot more complicated. Chapter 3. The first encounter. Tom had barely settled at his desk when Lila Hart leaned against the partition like she owned the place, which, judging by the way people glanced at her with a mix of respect and amusement, she practically did. So, she said, arms crossed, eyes sparkling with mischief, you're the workflow guy. Tom looked up from his laptop, forcing a casual smile. That's me. Here to optimize, streamline, synergize. Pick your favorite buzzword. Lila laughed, a low, warm sound that made the fluorescent lights seem less harsh. Synergize? Wow, you really came prepared. Tom shrugged. I like to keep my cliches polished. She tilted her head, studying him like he was a puzzle she intended to solve. You don't look like a consultant. Tom raised an eyebrow. What does a consultant look like? Older, grayer, more, spreadsheet Y. Her grin widened. You look like someone who still remembers what fun is. Tom chuckled. I'll take that as a compliment. It was, she said, then leaned closer, lowering her voice conspiratorially. So what's the real story? Did corporate send you because we're a disaster? Tom kept his expression neutral, though his pulse ticked up a notch. I wouldn't say disaster, just opportunity for improvement. Opportunity for improvement, she repeated, savoring the phrase like it was a piece of candy. That's adorable. Tom smirked. Adorable isn't usually the word people use for workflow analysis. Maybe you're redefining the field, she said, eyes glinting. So, where'd you come from? Big city? Fancy office? Chicago, Tom said. And yes, fancy enough. Lots of glass walls and people pretending to like kale. Lila laughed again, and Tom felt something shift, like the air between them had warmed a few degrees. He wasn't supposed to notice that, He was supposed to be focused, professional, undercover. But there was something about her. Sharp, confident, with a humor that cut through the corporate monotony like sunlight through clouds. Chicago, she mused. So you traded deep dish pizza for whatever passes for food here. Tom grinned. I'm still holding out hope for a decent burger. Oh, we've got burgers, Lila said. And if you're lucky, I might even tell you where to find the good ones. Tom leaned back, feigning casual. Is that a challenge? Maybe, she said, straightening. But first, you'll have to survive your first week. This place has quirks. Quirks? Tom echoed. You'll see. Her smile was pure trouble. Welcome to the Midwest, Tom Klein. And with that, she walked away, leaving Tom staring after her like a man who just glimpsed the edge of a cliff and wasn't sure whether to step back or jump. He exhaled slowly, turning back to his laptop. Focus, Klein. You're here to investigate, not flirt. But his brain wasn't listening. It was replaying her laugh, her grin, the way she said his name like it was something worth tasting. This assignment was supposed to be simple. 2 months, gather intel, report back. But Tom had a sinking feeling that nothing about Lila Hart or this division was going to be simple. Chapter 4. Digging for clues. By Wednesday, Tom had mastered the art of looking busy while listening hard. His cover as a workflow consultant gave him access to everything: process charts, team meetings, even casual coffee breaks. But so far, his findings were about as thrilling as a tax seminar. The workflows were fine. The deadlines were tight but manageable. No glaring inefficiencies, no obvious sabotage. Yet something was off. He could feel it in the way conversations hushed when he walked by, in the quick glances exchanged between employees like they were sharing a joke he wasn't invited to. And then there was the laughter. Bubbly, conspiratorial, echoing down hallways like champagne fizz. This wasn't normal office banter. It had a rhythm, a pulse, like a secret heartbeat. Tom decided to start small. He approached a group of engineers during lunch, notebook in hand, wearing his best, friendly consultant smile. So, he said, sliding into the empty chair, how's everyone feeling about the current project load? 3 women looked up, blinking in unison. One of them, a petite brunette with glasses, smiled politely. Busy but good. Any challenges? Tom asked. Bottlenecks? Communication gaps. They exchanged glances. The brunette shrugged. Nothing major. Tom scribbled something meaningless in his notebook. And team dynamics? Everyone getting along. This time, the glance wasn't subtle. It was a full-on silent conversation, complete with raised eyebrows and smirks. Finally, another woman spoke, voice laced with amusement. We're very close. Tom nodded slowly. Close is good. Close is great, she said, and the others laughed soft, knowing laughter that made Tom feel like he just walked into the punchline of a joke he didn't understand. He left lunch with more questions than answers. Back at his desk, he opened a spreadsheet, stared at it for a full minute, then closed it again. Numbers weren't going to solve this mystery. People were. That evening, as he packed up, he overheard voices drifting from the break room. He wasn't trying to eavesdrop. Okay, maybe he was, but the words snagged his attention like a hook. Friday night, one voice said. Of course, another replied. Wouldn't miss it. New guys not invited. A third voice teased, followed by laughter. Tom froze, listening harder. Queen's Gambit, someone whispered, and the room erupted in giggles. Queen's Gambit? Tom frowned. Wasn't that a chess thing? What did chess have to do with engineers quitting their jobs? He waited until the voices faded, then walked out to his car, the name echoing in his head like a riddle. Queen's Gambit. Sounded harmless, maybe even fun. But something told him this was the thread he needed to pull. As he drove through the snowy streets, Tom couldn't help but smile. A secret club? A mysterious name? This assignment was starting to feel less like corporate troubleshooting and more like the opening act of a comedy he hadn't auditioned for. And if Lila Hart was part of it, and he had a gut feeling she was, then things were about to get very interesting. Chapter 5. The Girls' Club. Tom spent Thursday pretending to care about workflow charts while his brain looped one phrase like a broken record. Queen's Gambit. It sounded like a chess move, but in this office it felt more like a password. A wink. A door he wasn't allowed to open. By Friday afternoon, curiosity had evolved into obsession. He needed answers, and as luck or fate would have it, those answers walked right up to his desk in the form of Lila Hart. You look intense, she said, leaning against his chair with that crooked smile that made rational thought optional. Spreadsheet giving you existential dread? Tom closed the laptop. Just trying to make sense of things. Good luck with that, she said. This place doesn't always make sense. Yeah, I'm starting to notice. He hesitated, then went for it. So, Queen's Gambit. Her eyebrows shot up, amusement flickering in her eyes. You've been eavesdropping. Not intentionally, Tom lied smoothly. Just curious. Curious? She repeated, savoring the word like it was a fine wine. That's dangerous. Tom grinned. I like dangerous. Lila laughed, shaking her head. It's nothing sinister. Just a little tradition. Tradition, Tom echoed. Friday nights, she said. A bunch of us hang out, blow off steam. Poker, karaoke, bad wine. We call it Queen's Gambit because someone thought it sounded classy. Tom blinked. Poker and karaoke? Don't judge, she said mock stern. It's the highlight of our week. And the guys? Tom asked casually. Do they join? Lila's smile turned sly. They try. Some survive. Most don't. Tom leaned forward. Don't. They quit, she said with a shrug. Not because of us exactly. But let's just say, if you can't handle a little fun, this might not be your scene. Tom felt a spark of revelation and confusion. Could this be the reason men were leaving? A poker night? A karaoke gauntlet? It sounded ridiculous. But then again, corporate culture was a delicate ecosystem. One wrong vibe and people bolted. So what's the initiation? He asked lightly. Lila's grin widened. You're bold. Just curious, Tom said again. Well, she said, tapping her chin theatrically. You could come tonight. See for yourself. Tom blinked. Is that an invitation? Consider it a challenge, she said, eyes glinting. 8 o'clock. O'Malley's bar. Don't chicken out. And just like that, she walked away, leaving Tom with two thoughts. 1, he was absolutely going. 2, this assignment had officially crossed into uncharted territory. Chapter 6. Sparks fly. Tom Klein had faced boardroom presentations, tight deadlines, and one terrifying incident involving a malfunctioning espresso machine during a client demo. But nothing prepared him for walking into O'Malley's bar on a Friday night and realizing he was about to crash what looked like the most exclusive club in the Midwest. The place was buzzing, warm lights, clinking glasses, laughter spilling like music. In the back corner, a cluster of women dominated 2 tables, their energy magnetic. Lila Hart sat at the center like a queen on her throne, dark hair loose now, framing a face that could launch 1,000 PowerPoint slides. She spotted Tom instantly, her grin slow and wicked. Well, she said as he approached. You didn't chicken out. Tom smiled, trying to look cooler than he felt. Wouldn't miss it. Brave man, she teased, sliding a chair toward him. Ladies, meet Tom, the consultant who thinks he can survive Queen's Gambit. The group erupted in laughter, and Tom felt every eye on him like a spotlight. He sat, adjusting his jacket, and offered a polite nod. Pleasure to meet you all. Pleasure's ours, said a woman with neon pink hair and a mischievous glint. Hope you can sing. Tom blinked. Sing? Oh, didn't Lila tell you? Pink hair smirked. Poker's just the appetizer. Karaoke's the main course. Tom shot Lila a look. She shrugged, utterly unapologetic. I said quirks. Before he could protest, a deck of cards appeared, chips clattered onto the table, and someone shoved a whiskey in his hand. Tom decided to roll with it. After all, how bad could it be? Answer, bad. Very bad. 2 hours later, Tom had lost every chip, sung a tragically off-key rendition of Livin' on a Prayer, and endured a round of good-natured heckling that would have broken lesser men. But strangely, he wasn't miserable. He was laughing real, belly-deep laughter he hadn't felt in months. And Lila? She was laughing too, head thrown back, eyes shining like stars. When the chaos finally ebbed, Tom stepped outside for air. The night was crisp, snowflakes drifting like lazy confetti. He leaned against the brick wall, exhaling a cloud of breath, and then Lila joined him. Not bad, she said, handing him a fresh drink. For a rookie. Tom grinned. I think I set karaoke back 20 years. You set it free, she countered, her smile softer now. Most guys wouldn't have lasted an hour. Most guys quit, Tom said quietly. Her expression flickered, amusement giving way to something thoughtful. They did. Tom wanted to ask why, but the words tangled in his throat. Instead, he said, You're something else, Lila. She tilted her head, eyes locking on his. Careful, Klein. Flattery might get you in trouble. Maybe I like trouble, he said, voice low. For a heartbeat, the world narrowed to just them. The snow, the glow of the bar lights, the hum of something electric in the air. Then Lila smiled, slow and dangerous. Good, she said, turning back toward the door. Because you're in it now. And as Tom watched her walk away, he realized 2 things. 1, he was falling for her. 2, this assignment had officially gone off the rails. Chapter 7. The Gambit night, Tom Klein had officially crossed the Rubicon. There was no going back. Not after poker humiliation, karaoke catastrophe, and a round of trivia where he confidently declared that Mount Rushmore was in Montana. Spoiler, it's not. By the time the clock struck midnight, O'Malley's bar had transformed into a carnival of laughter. Chips clattered, voices rose in mock outrage, and someone had started a conga line near the jukebox. Tom sat nursing his drink, wondering if this was what corporate culture looked like when HR wasn't watching. Ready for round 2? Lila slid into the seat beside him, her smile pure mischief. Tom raised an eyebrow. Round 2. Karaoke finals, she said, eyes glinting. Winner gets bragging rights and a crown. A crown, Tom echoed. Like An actual crown? Plastic, she said. But glorious. Tom groaned. I barely survived the first round. You survived, she said, leaning closer, her voice dropping to a teasing whisper. That's more than most guys. Tom smirked. Is this where you tell me the secret reason men quit? Lila's smile turned sly. Maybe. Or maybe you'll have to earn that answer. Before Tom could reply, Pink Hair, whose name he'd learned was Tessa, bounded over, waving a microphone like a sword. Consultant boy. You're up. Tom shot Lila a look. You planned this. Maybe, she said, utterly unapologetic. Tom stood, resigned to his fate, and took the mic. The opening chords of Sweet Caroline blared through the speakers. He sang badly, enthusiastically, and with enough dramatic flair to earn a standing ovation from the Queen's Gambit crew. By the time he hit the final so good, so good, so good, the bar was roaring. When he returned to the table, flushed and grinning, Lila handed him a plastic crown. You earned it. Tom placed it on his head with mock solemnity. Does this mean I'm officially part of the club? Not yet, she said, her tone playful but her eyes softening. But you're getting close. They sat in companionable silence for a moment, the noise of the bar fading into background hum. Tom studied her profile, the curve of her smile, the way her hair caught the light, and felt that dangerous tug again. The one that whispered, this isn't just an assignment anymore. You're full of surprises, he said quietly. So are you, she replied, meeting his gaze. Most consultants would have run screaming by now. Maybe I like chaos, Tom said. Good, she murmured, her smile lingering. Because this place has plenty. For a heartbeat, the air between them crackled warm, electric, charged with something neither of them named. Then Tessa yelled for another round of shots, and the moment shattered like glass. But as Tom raised his glass and laughed with the group, one thought burned in his mind. He wasn't just here to solve a mystery anymore. He was here because of her. Chapter 8. Trouble Brews. Monday morning hit like a hangover Tom hadn't earned. He sat at his desk, nursing a coffee that tasted vaguely like regret, when Mark Ellison appeared in his peripheral vision like a storm cloud in a suit. Got a minute? Mark's tone wasn't a question. Tom followed him into a small conference room, the kind designed for quiet chats that were anything but quiet. Mark shut the door and turned, arms crossed, jaw set like granite. You're getting involved, Mark said flatly. Tom blinked. Involved? With the team, Mark clarified. Socially. Tom kept his expression neutral. I thought building rapport was part of the job. Rapport is one thing, Mark said, voice clipped. Fraternizing is another. Tom resisted the urge to laugh. Fraternizing? What was this, a Victorian boarding school? I'm just trying to understand the culture, he said evenly. Mark's eyes narrowed. Understand it. Don't become it. The warning hung in the air like smoke. Tom nodded, biting back a retort. He wasn't about to explain that his karaoke humiliation was a tactical move, or that Lila Hart's smile had nothing to do with strategy and everything to do with the fact that he was, against all better judgment, falling for her. When Mark left, Tom exhaled slowly. Trouble was brewing, and not just professionally. That evening, Tom stepped outside to call Harlan. The CEO's voice came through crisp and commanding. Progress. Tom hesitated, glancing around the empty parking lot. I've got leads. There's a strong social dynamic here. Tight-knit, almost exclusive. Men who don't fit in. They bail. Culture issue, Harlan said. Fixable. Maybe, Tom said. But it's deeper than workflow. It's identity. Keep digging, Harlan ordered. And stay discreet. Always, Tom said, ending the call. He turned and froze. Lila stood 10 feet away, arms folded, expression unreadable. Snowflakes clung to her hair like tiny stars. How long have you been standing there? Tom asked, voice tight. Long enough, she said coolly. So, you're not just a consultant. Tom's stomach dropped. Lila, save it, she said, eyes flashing. I knew something was off, but spying? Really? It's not like that, Tom said quickly. I'm trying to help. Help. Her laugh was sharp, brittle. By lying to everyone? Tom stepped closer, desperate. I didn't want to lie. I had to. Had to? She repeated, voice dripping with disbelief. You know what? Forget it. She turned, boots crunching against the snow, and walked away without looking back. Tom stood there, heart pounding, watching her disappear into the night. The cold bit through his coat, but it was nothing compared to the chill settling in his chest. He'd come here to solve a mystery. Now he had two, why men were quitting, and whether he'd just lost the one person who made this frozen town feel warm. Chapter 9. Confession and Chaos. Tom didn't sleep that night. He lay in his hotel bed staring at the ceiling, replaying every word, every look, every sharp edge in Lila's voice. He'd handled negotiations with million-dollar clients, but nothing had ever felt this impossible. How do you explain a lie that started as a job and turned into something that mattered? By morning, he had a plan, or at least the shaky outline of one. Step 1, find Lila. Step 2, tell the truth. Step 3. Pray she didn't throw her coffee in his face. He spotted her in the break room, pouring herself a cup with the kind of precision usually reserved for surgical procedures. Her posture was rigid, her expression unreadable. Tom took a breath and stepped inside. "Lila," he said softly. She didn't look up. "Busy." "I know," he said, moving closer. "But I need 5 minutes." She set the coffee down and turned, eyes cool as glass. "5 minutes to spin another story?" "No," Tom said, voice steady. 5 minutes to tell the truth." Her laugh was sharp, brittle. "The truth? That you're not a consultant? That you're here to spy?" "I'm here because Harlan asked me to," Tom said quickly. "He's worried about the division, about the turnover. He wanted answers. And you said yes," she shot back. "Because loyalty to the boss matters more than honesty to the people you're lying to." Tom flinched but held his ground. "I didn't want to lie. I had to. If I'd walked in saying, 'Hi, I'm here to investigate you,' do you think anyone would have talked to me?" "Maybe not," she said, voice tight. "But at least you wouldn't have pretended to be my friend." Tom's chest ached. "I wasn't pretending." Her eyes flashed. "Don't." "I wasn't," he said fiercely. "Everything else, yeah, it was part of the job. But you? That's real." Silence stretched, heavy and brittle. Lila stared at him like she was trying to decide whether to believe him or break him. Finally, she spoke, voice low. "You think saying that makes it better?" "No," Tom admitted. "But it's the truth." She shook her head, grabbing her coffee like it was armor. "You want to help? Fine. Fix your report. Do your job. But stay out of my way." And with that, she walked out, leaving Tom standing in the doorway with a hollow ache in his chest and a sinking realization. He'd told the truth, and it still wasn't enough. Chapter 10. The real reason. Tom spent 2 days buried in interviews, notes, and enough coffee to qualify as a survival strategy. He wasn't just chasing answers for Harlan anymore. He was chasing redemption. If he couldn't fix things with Lila yet, he could at least fix the problem that brought him here. And finally, the truth surfaced. It wasn't poker nights or karaoke battles. It wasn't about fun or failing to adapt. The men who left weren't junior hires, they were senior engineers, the kind of people who had built the foundation this division stood on. They didn't walk away because they couldn't keep up. They walked because they felt disrespected. Tom read the words in his notes again, the ones that had come up in quiet, reluctant conversations. "No one listened anymore. Decisions were made without us. It felt like we didn't matter." The culture had shifted fast and with good intentions. The women here had created a strong, vibrant network, and that was something to celebrate. But in the process, the voices of those senior engineers had faded into the background. Not silenced deliberately, but drowned out by the momentum of change. And when people who've spent years shaping a company feel invisible, they don't fight. They leave. Tom sat back, the weight of it settling on his shoulders. This wasn't about workflow. It was about respect. He called Harlan that evening, pacing his hotel room. "I've got your answer," he said. "Talk to me," Harlan replied. "It's cultural," Tom explained. "The team here is strong, really strong. But in the push to innovate, some of the most experienced voices got sidelined. They felt like their input didn't matter anymore." "Solution?" Harlan asked. "Balance," Tom said. "Create spaces where experience and fresh ideas meet. Mentorship programs, mixed leadership teams, structured feedback loops. Make sure no one feels like they've been benched." Harlan was silent for a beat, then said, "I like it. Draft a proposal." Tom nodded, though his mind was already elsewhere, on Lila, on the look in her eyes when she walked away. Fixing the division was easy compared to fixing that. The next morning, he presented the plan to Mark and Janice. They listened, skeptical at first, then intrigued. By the time Tom finished, Janice was nodding so hard her scarf nearly fell off. "This could work," she said. "This could really work." Mark grunted, which Tom decided was his version of applause. As the meeting ended, Tom felt a flicker of pride. He'd done his job. He'd solved the mystery. But as he walked back to his desk, that pride was hollow without the one person he wanted to share it with. Lila was there, bent over a schematic, her focus razor-sharp. Tom hesitated, then crossed the room. "Got a minute?" he asked softly. She looked up, eyes cool but not as icy as before. "Depends. I fixed it," Tom said. "The turnover problem. I figured it out." Her expression didn't change. "Congratulations." Tom swallowed hard. "Lila, I know I screwed up. I should have told you the truth sooner. But I meant what I said. I wasn't pretending with you." She studied him for a long moment, her silence louder than any words. Then she said, "You're good at fixing things, Tom. Let's see if you can fix this." And with that, she turned back to her work, leaving Tom with a spark of hope and the realization that his hardest challenge wasn't in the spreadsheets. It was in her smile. Chapter 11, Grand Gesture. Tom Klein had never been the grand gesture type. He was the guy who sent polite thank you emails, not the guy who made sweeping declarations in public. But desperate times call for desperate measures, and losing Lila Hart felt like the kind of disaster that deserved fireworks. So he made a plan. A ridiculous, borderline humiliating plan. And by Friday afternoon, he was standing in the middle of the office lobby wearing a plastic crown, holding a karaoke mic, and wondering if this was how his career ended. Employees gathered like moths to a flame, phones out, whispers buzzing. Tom cleared his throat, heart pounding like a drum solo. "Attention, everyone," he said, voice echoing off glass walls. "I have an announcement." Lila appeared at the edge of the crowd, arms crossed, expression cool, but her eyes flickered with curiosity. Tom locked onto her like a lifeline. "I came here undercover," he said, loud enough for the whole floor to hear. "Not to spy on you, but to figure out why good people were leaving. And I did. But somewhere along the way, I found something else." He paused, scanning the sea of faces, then zeroed in on Lila. "I found someone who makes spreadsheets feel like poetry. Someone who turns poker nights into magic. Someone who, against all odds, made me sing Bon Jovi in public." Laughter rippled through the crowd. Tom grinned, nerves sparking like live wires. "So, Lila Hart, this is me, no lies, no cover story. Just a guy who fell for you and is willing to embarrass himself to prove it." He raised the mic dramatically as the opening chords of Can't Help Falling in Love played from a Bluetooth speaker he'd bribed Tessa to set up. And then he sang badly, earnestly, every note a confession. By the second verse, the crowd was cheering. By the chorus, someone had started swaying with their phone flashlight like it was a concert. And Lila? She was laughing real, bright, unstoppable laughter that melted every shard of tension between them. When the song ended, Tom dropped to one knee. Not with a ring, but with the plastic crown from Queen's Gambit night. "Be my queen," he said, grinning like an idiot. The room held its breath. Lila stepped forward, eyes shining, and plucked the crown from his hands. "You're insane," she said softly. "Completely," Tom agreed. She smiled, the kind of smile that could rewrite endings, and placed the crown on his head. "Good, because I like insane." The crowd erupted as Lila pulled him up and kissed him. Quick, fierce, and full of promise. Tom kissed her back, the noise fading into a blur, because in that moment, nothing else mattered. Not the job, not the cover story, not the risk, just her. Chapter 12, Love and Laughter. Monday morning at the Midwest Division felt different. Not because the snow had finally stopped, or because someone had replaced the motivational posters with memes, though that was a nice touch. It felt different because Tom Klein walked in holding Lila Hart's hand. Phones didn't just come out, they practically levitated. Whispers rippled like a breeze through the open floor plan. Tessa, pink-haired and grinning like a cat with cream, called out, well, look who's trending." Tom shot her a look. "Trending. Office romance," Tessa said, waggling her eyebrows. Hashtag Queen's Gambit." Lila laughed, squeezing Tom's hand. "Ignore her. She's been waiting for this moment since karaoke night." Tom grinned, though his cheeks burned. He'd faced public humiliation before, karaoke, plastic crowns, but this was different. This was good. Messy, unexpected, but good. By noon, the gossip had reached critical mass. Janice from HR cornered them near the coffee machine, scarf fluttering like a victory flag. "Just so you know," she said brightly, "we fully support workplace relationships, as long as they don't interfere with productivity." Tom nodded solemnly. "Absolutely. We'll keep the PDA to a minimum." Janice winked. Minimum is subjective. When Tom finally escaped to his desk, his phone buzzed. A message from Harlan. "Saw the video. Nice pipes, Klein. Also, good work on the proposal. Proud of you." Tom groaned. "Video?" Lila peeked over his shoulder, smirking. "Oh yeah, your serenade went viral. Interns posted it on the company Slack." Tom buried his face in his hands. "I'm never living this down." "True," Lila said cheerfully. "But look on the bright side, you're a legend now." He looked up, meeting her gaze, and felt that familiar spark, the one that had started with a crooked smile and a challenge. "Worth it," he said softly. Her smile softened too. "Definitely worth it." The rest of the day blurred into laughter, teasing, and the kind of easy rhythm that felt like home. Tom had come here undercover, chasing a mystery. He'd found answers, sure, but he'd also found something better. Something real. Something that made him believe that sometimes, the best things happen when you stop playing it safe and start singing off-key in a crowded bar. Chapter 13. Epilogue. 6 months later, Tom Klein stood barefoot on a sun-warmed deck, the salty breeze ruffling his hair as waves whispered against the shore. The Cabana bar was alive with laughter and clinking glasses, a postcard of paradise. And for once, Tom wasn't just visiting. He was home. Well, not his home exactly. His dad's beach bar had become a local legend, complete with tiki torches, hammocks, and a cocktail menu that read like a love letter to rum. Tom had always thought the whole venture was a midlife crisis. Turns out it was genius. "Your dad's living the dream," Lila said, sliding up beside him with 2 drinks in hand. She wore a sundress the color of summer, her hair loose and kissed by the wind. Tom took the glass she offered, grinning. "He'd argue I'm living it now," Tom said, clinking his glass against hers. She smiled, that same crooked smile that had started everything. "Hard to disagree." They settled into a hammock, the kind that demanded you forget deadlines and let the ocean do the talking. Tom glanced at her, sunlight painting gold across her skin, and felt that familiar tug, the one that had turned a frozen Midwest assignment into the best mistake of his life. "How's the mentorship program?" she asked, sipping her drink. "Thriving," Tom said. "Turnover's down. Morale's up. Queen's Gambit is still going strong, though I hear karaoke nights now include a Tom tribute round." Lila laughed, head tipping back. "You'll never live that down." "Worth it," Tom said, his voice soft but certain. She reached over, threading her fingers through his. "You know," she said, eyes glinting with mischief, "if you ever go undercover again, you'd better warn me." Tom grinned. "No more undercover, unless it's sneaking you extra dessert." "Smooth," she teased, leaning in to kiss him. A slow, sunlit kiss that tasted like promise. As the waves rolled and laughter drifted from the bar, Tom thought about how far he'd come, from spreadsheets and secrets to sunsets and second chances. He'd gone looking for a problem to solve. Instead, he'd found the one thing he didn't know he was missing: love. And maybe, just maybe, the courage to sing off-key forever.